Well, on Twitch, so it matters who you are. So basically, Twitch doesn't ban people based off of what they do. They ban people based off of who they are. So, for example, like if you're a girl, you get, I think, special treatment. Like everybody knows, like if the person that did like what Nina did that to a guy, they'd be permabanned, right? Everybody knows this. And so the fact is that Twitch doesn't have any real rules. There aren't any actual rules on the website. The only rule that really matters is if they like you or not, and if they agree with you or not, right? And it's that simple. Yeah, identity politics, ban politics, but man, can only...
Got suspended on Twitch in the middle of my Crimson Desert playthrough. I don't know what I'm going to be able to do. It's going to be an entire week. I mean, geez, guys. I'm going to have so much free time. Well, I guess I could start by making this video, right? So,
Asmongold has been banned on Twitch, and he said, here's a post from himself, and he said he got banned for an entire week because he said that he doesn't give a fuck about the opinions of illiterate third worlders. You know, I just think it's crazy because, you know, if he had said that he doesn't care about illiterate white people, I think it'd still be on Twitch. Absolutely, probably get fucking promoted. And then I think the comparison there is like you have Sam Piker. I think he only got banned for 24 hours for calling for the murder of a sitting senator. And also, you know, he's clicking his fucking, he's like Thor with his fucking hammer, like fucking, you know, lightning bolts to his dog as well. So, you know, I think there's a lot of things that, like, you know, there's a huge double standard on Twitch.
Same platform, same rules, same type of comment, completely different punishment. One streamer says something inflammatory, banned for a week. Another streamer says something equally inflammatory, unbanned within 24 hours. A third streamer does it 8 times and gets a permanent ban. A fourth does it 7 times and is still one of the biggest names on the platform. This is not speculation. This is documented. This is a pattern. And today I am going to lay it all out. Every case, every inconsistency, every unanswered question. So you can decide for yourself whether Twitch has a double standard problem, because I think after watching this video, the answer is pretty obvious. Before we get into the cases, let's understand how Twitch's moderation is actually supposed to work, because you cannot prove a double standard without first establishing what the standard is supposed to be. Twitch's community guidelines prohibit what they call hateful conduct, language that targets people based on protected characteristics including race, nationality, religion, gender, and sexuality. The guidelines also prohibit harassment, threats, and what they call inflammatory content. The punishment system is meant to be progressive. Minor violations get short suspensions. Repeated violations escalate. The most severe violations, or patterns of behavior, result in permanent bans. Since CEO Dan Clancy took over in 2023, Twitch made one significant improvement. They now tell streamers which specific behavior triggered their ban. Before that, streamers were just told they had violated community guidelines with 0 specifics. That was actually a major problem for years, but the new transparency only solved half the issue, because even when streamers know why they were banned, the length of the ban still makes no consistent sense.
I just got indefinitely suspended on Twitch. I just got packed up, just permaban. I don't know why. I don't know why. I'm glad that we have Kick. It's just like, bro, can I get can a nigga breathe? Can a nigga live? Can a nigga can I stream? Can a nigga stream? What the fuck did I do? Someone tell me what I did. Dan Clancy, you've been going off on all these stages, giving great speeches about how you're going to explain all this. I've been nonstop. All my chat on Twitch is just TOS, GG, don't say this, don't say that. I've been clean. I've been playing games like a bot, bro. I've been playing horror games. I don't even know what I got banned for. It's just I woke up, rub my eye. Extreme hateful conduct. Oh, shit. Here we go again. Here we go again. I'm not even like, at this point, bro, I'm completely unfazed by this stuff. And not in like I'm alpha, but in just like, oh yeah, here we go again. 2 days ago, like, oh shit, everything seemed like it was back. Everything seemed on track. And now back to, yeah, no. So I'm going to appeal right now because I don't know what it is. But just as I started the stream, Myron texted me and he got the same thing. Myron from Fresh and Fit just texted me, said he got permaban on Twitch for extreme hateful conduct. What did we do? If we're going to be real, I'm not going to like play stupid. I know exactly what it is. They're getting pressure right now because of, let's be real. Let's be real. People like Destiny, people like XQC, people like Hasan, Pokimane, these people are applying pressure because they're saying that Twitch is allowing anti-Semitic people on the platform because we're vocal about what's going on in the Middle East. That's what it is. The Free Palestine crowd is getting packed up because they are facing allegations that, they're an anti-Semitic platform. That's what it is. Look at ADL Twitter. Let's look it up right now.
As Dick Serto put it in a 2024 analysis, and I think this framing is exactly right, a generous view is that Twitch considers all possible context when determining ban length. A less generous view, they wrote, would imagine darts being thrown at a dartboard. That dartboard theory? I am about to show you why it might actually be more accurate than the generous one. Let's start with the most straightforward category, hateful conduct, specifically the use of slurs on stream. This should be the easiest category for Twitch to be consistent on. It is the most clear-cut type of violation. In 2019, streamers Destiny and M0E were both banned for using a homophobic slur on stream. Both received 30-day suspensions. Clean, consistent. A precedent was set. In 2022, Aiden Ross was banned for breaching hateful conduct rules. Another 30-day suspension. The precedent held. So in 2024, when Nick Merckx was banned for using a transphobic slur, based on every precedent established, you would expect 30 days. Instead, he received 10 days. No explanation for the reduction. Just 10 days. Same offense category, same type of violation, 1/3 of the punishment. Why? Then there is the Gideon situation, which is one of the most confusing moderation decisions in Twitch history. In January 2022, Gideon directed his community to raid Pokimane's stream and harass her chat with hate messages. Hateful conduct violation, clear-cut. He was banned for 14 days. Then, for reasons Twitch never explained publicly, that 14-day ban was upgraded to a permanent ban. 832 days later, it was lifted. No explanation for why it became permanent. No explanation for why it was eventually reversed. Just ban, permanent ban, unbanned, move on. And here's the thing that makes this pattern so maddening. It is not just the length that is inconsistent, it is the direction. Sometimes bans get longer without explanation, sometimes they get shorter, sometimes permanent bans get reversed, and nobody outside Twitch's moderation team knows why any of these decisions are made. Now let's talk about the comparison that is dominating the conversation right now, and has been for years.
Yes, I have been justifiably banned due to pressure campaigns, and also unjustifiably banned due to pressure campaigns, oftentimes coming from the far right.
Well, on Twitch, so it matters who you are. So basically, Twitch doesn't ban people based off of what they do. They ban people based off of who they are.
HasanAbi versus Asmongold. These are two of Twitch's most politically vocal streamers. HasanAbi, real name Hasan Piker, is broadly on the left. Asmongold is broadly on the right. Both have enormous audiences. Both have a documented history of making inflammatory political statements on stream. And both have been banned. But here's where it gets complicated. HasanAbi has been suspended from Twitch 7 times according to streamer bans. 7 times. Let me run through some of the incidents. In March 2025, he said on stream, and I'm quoting, "If you cared about Medicare fraud, you would kill Rick Scott," referring to a sitting U.S. senator. That ban lasted 24 hours, 1 day. In May 2025, he was suspended for covering a shooting, specifically for reading the shooter's manifesto on stream. Twitch called it improper handling of terrorist propaganda. In January 2026, he was banned for 7 days for calling critics rabid ultra-Zionist pigs during a political commentary stream. Now let's look at Asmongold. In October 2024, he was banned for 2 weeks for his comments about Palestinians, calling them terrible people and an inferior culture. In April 2026, he was banned for 1 week for saying he did not give a quote "faydisakan" about the opinions of illiterate third worlders. So here is the question his supporters are raising, and it is a fair one to examine. HasanAbi said you would kill Rick Scott, a direct statement about a named political figure, and got 1 day. Asmongold made derogatory comments about a nationality and got a week. Is that proportionate? Now here's the other side, and I want to present this fairly because it matters. Asmongold's comments targeted people based on their nationality and geographic origin, which falls directly under Twitch's hateful conduct policy around protected characteristics. The Senator Rick Scott comment, while deeply inflammatory, was political speech targeting an individual public official, a different category. Are both problematic? Arguably yes. Are they the same same type of violation under Twitch's own policies? That is genuinely debatable. But here is what is not debatable. When HasanAbi was unbanned after just one day, XQC responded by saying, "The way me and some others were treated in comparison is just comical. What a joke." And that reaction came not from Asmongold's camp. It came from XQC, who has been on the receiving end of Twitch bans himself. When multiple streamers across different political alignments are all pointing at the same inconsistency, that tells you something. Here is the theory I keep coming back to after going through all of these cases, and I want to be clear. This is my analysis, not a proven fact, but I think the evidence points toward it strongly. Twitch does not primarily moderate based on what was said. Twitch moderates based on the combination of what was said, who said it, how much revenue they generate, and how much public pressure exists at the moment the decision is made. Let me explain why I think that. Aiden Ross was banned 8 times before receiving a permanent ban. 8 times. Then in 2025, that permanent ban was reversed, and multiple Twitch employees reportedly questioned CEO Dan Clancy about the reversal internally when it was announced. The employees who built the case for the permanent ban watched it get undone. Why? Nobody has given a clear public answer, but Aiden Ross is one of the biggest names in streaming. Then there is the case of Dr. Disrespect, which I covered in depth in another video on this channel. Twitch knew why they banned him in 2020. They had evidence. They still paid out his full multi-million-dollar contract in the settlement. The financial obligation was honored even while the moderation action was taken. What does that tell you about where money sits in these decisions? And then there is the category of streamers who arguably should have been banned but were not, or received only token punishment. Dexerto noted that even with something as clear-cut as hateful conduct, there is no sense of precedent being applied. The uncomfortable reality is that Twitch is a private company that can ban anyone for any reason at any time. They do not owe anyone a consistent system, but they have publicly committed to one. They have published community guidelines. They have made statements about fairness and transparency, and when the documented evidence shows that the same category of violation produces wildly different outcomes depending on who is involved, that is not a private decision anymore. That is a credibility problem. To be fair to Twitch, and I think fairness matters here, they have not been completely silent on this. CEO Dan Clancy has acknowledged the criticism. In March 2025, after the HasanAbi and Ethan Klein bans in the same week, 2Filter reported that Clancy stepped in to explain why moderation decisions are, in his words, tricky.
I'm sure you've been aware that one of your biggest streamers, Hassan Piker, has been in the middle of this weeks-long debate inside the Democratic Party about whether people should go on his stream, as more politicians do go on Twitch. I saw Gavin Newsom was gaming on there somewhat recently. I mean, you've obviously dealt at various times with Hassan Piker. You guys have, you guys have taken him off the platform. He's kind of come back on, temporarily kind of suspended him. What's your perspective as you kind of watch this play out? Do you think that people are kind of misunderstanding, or anybody in the Democratic Party is kind of misunderstanding his audience or his kind of popularity there? What do you think as you're watching this debate?
Yeah. So look, I don't have an opinion on any particular streamer. I think it's absolutely the case that one of the challenges when you're live streaming is you're up there and you say a lot. And when you say a lot, especially as you're more inflammatory, you might say a lot of things that are over the top. Now, for us, the way we handle that is we have a very clear set of community guidelines where we do not allow certain type of behavior. If you violate that, then we take enforcement actions and we suspend you. It's designed not to kick you off forever. It's designed to say, no, you're going to have a suspension whenever Hassan has stepped over the line. We've taken action. And it's interesting now because those folks will get worked up from both the right and the left on this because we have also conservative people that are saying certain things that some people don't like. And one of the things that kind of works well on Twitch is if you don't like what someone's saying, then don't go and listen to them.
Yeah, right.
And then it's not in your face at all, literally.
Yeah.
It doesn't get injected into you like, you got to go see it.
Totally.
No, you disagree. And so, in general, we think it is important for us to allow people to express themselves.
He said context matters. He said mitigating and aggravating factors are considered. He said the platform is working toward greater transparency. And to give credit where it is due, the move to inform streamers specifically what triggered their ban was a real improvement. For years, people were told nothing. Now at least they know the what, even if the why of the ban length remains opaque. Twitch also introduced what they call enforcement notes in 2025, essentially a public-facing document that gives examples of how their guidelines are applied in real scenarios. That is an attempt to close the gap between written rules rules and actual enforcement. But here's the problem. All of those improvements address the transparency of the process. None of them address the consistency of the outcomes. And transparency without consistency is just a more visible version of the same problem. You can show me exactly how you made an inconsistent decision. That does not make the decision consistent. Here is what I think the Twitch double standard debate is really about, underneath all the individual cases. Streamers are building careers on a platform whose rules they cannot reliably predict. You can read the community guidelines, you can follow every documented precedent, and you can still end up with a wildly different outcome than someone who did the exact same thing, because nobody outside Twitch's moderation team knows what factors are actually being weighed. That uncertainty has real consequences. It is one of the main reasons streamers have been moving to Kick. Not necessarily because Kick is better. In many ways, it is more permissive in ways that create their own problems. But because at least on Kick, the rules feel predictable. If Kick will not ban you for something, you can largely count on that. If Twitch might ban you for something, you genuinely do not know whether you will get 1 day or 1 year. And that unpredictability disproportionately affects smaller streamers. When a creator with 3 million followers gets a 24-hour ban and is back the next day, their career barely flinches. When a creator with 30,000 followers gets a 2-week ban for a comparable offense, that can genuinely damage their momentum, their subscriber counts, their sponsorship conversations. The double standard is not just political, it is structural, and it runs all the way through the system. So here is where I land on this. Twitch has a documented inconsistency problem. The evidence for that is not really in dispute. Even Twitch's own CEO has acknowledged that moderation decisions are complicated and messy. The cases I walked through today are not cherry-picked outliers. They are the mainstream examples that the community itself keeps returning to. Does that mean every ban decision is wrong? No. Does it mean Twitch is deliberately targeting specific political viewpoints? I am not going to make that claim, because the evidence for deliberate ideological targeting is weaker than the evidence for just general inconsistency and chaos. But does it mean the current system is not working fairly? Absolutely, and that affects real creators with real livelihoods. Now I want your take, because this is genuinely a topic where reasonable people land in very different places. Do you think Twitch's inconsistency is deliberate bias, pure chaos, or something in between? And which specific case from this video do you think is the most indefensible? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. Subscribe if you want this level of analysis on every major streamer story, and I will see you in the next video.